Infosys provides world-class online IT training, staffing, and software testing solutions to customers worldwide. H2K Infosys, how we are different from our competitors. 100% job-oriented training, hands-on project work, cloud test lab, resume preparation and review, mock interviews, robust syllabus, one-time fee and lifetime access to classes, access to recorded sessions of live classes. H2K Infosys has won the trust of thousands of students worldwide. For a free demo class, visit us at h2kinfosys.com.
So what I did here is in order to talk about what is an import basically. So what I did is I've created a package here as import, and let's say I'm going to create a class here, new class and difference. So I just want to say difference. Okay. So in this class, I want to basically do some functionality. Let's talk about those functionalities. Or let's say this is again some kind of mathematical calculation. Okay, so let me rename this to mathematical calculation. It's a very big name, right? So copy this and paste it here. Okay. Now, as the class tells you that you can do some kind of mathematical calculation here. Okay. So let me do something like public void add, and wherein you want to add two values, int a, int b. Okay. And let's say you just want to return this, and instead of void, I'll be just telling here as integer and just say return a plus b. Right. The same thing goes if I want to subtract two values. I can just say subtract, and I want to subtract a minus b. And very well, from your main class, from your main method, what I can do is I can just say mathematical calculation mc equals to new mathematical calculation. Okay, and I can just say mc dot subtract, right? So I know I have to hold this variable somewhere, otherwise it is of no use. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say sys out, and with the help of my system.out.println, I'm going to print that value, because when I'm invoking this particular method, it is going to give me a return type, and this is my return type for me. Okay, and the same thing goes for your addition also. So pretty plain and simple. Right click, run as Java application. So it gives me the result here, right? So if I do a subtraction or an addition here, if I say add, so I get an addition here, run as Java application, right? Pretty plain and simple. And if you know that if this is your static method, right? What you can do is, instead of creating an instance of the class, you can directly invoke this with the help of your class name itself. Okay. So this is how you know that you can directly invoke this, but this one you cannot directly invoke, because this is a instance. This you can only invoke after creating an instance of that particular class. Okay. Now, uh, the main objective of telling you all this story is, if you remember, we have already created a calculation class somewhere in the previous session, wherein we are doing some sort of addition and subtraction in those things, right? Why to again reinvent the wheel, right? So what I can do is I can basically use these class, right? So in order to use this class, what I need to do, I need to use this particular class. So if I comment these things, right, I do not want any kind of functionality which is present in your mathematical calculation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the help of a different class here. So in order to take the help of a different class, I can just say calculation. Let's see, go and see if you have any constructor. Okay, you don't have any constructor here. So I'll just say calculation calc equals to new calculation. this particular calculation is nowhere present in any of the packages here, right? So if you see here, if you remember in your previous examples, if I open this calculation here, right? So if in this particular package itself, if I right click and say new class and say client program, and here if I say calculation calc equals to new calculation, here I have no problems at all. Okay, I think calculation has got a okay, so here it says the construct add argument to match. Okay, I just add two values here, right? This what it is, this calculation goes here. Okay, we've got a constructor with taking two values here, right? So what I can do basically, if you see here, when I'm invoking this particular calculation here, I do not have to have anything as import here, right? Because both client program and the calculation belong to the same package here, right? Now let's see, go back to our mathematical calculation here, and if you see here, we are getting some issues here, right? So even though I say 12 comma 10, right, I still get some issues. The same constructor I have used in the, I just copied this, I can just even copy this and paste it here, right? Now how do I use, okay, now if you see I just copied it, something happened here. That means in this particular class, as these two belong to different packages, right? Different packages in the sense, if I click on this, if you see the package structure is com h2k infosys java.imports, and this is your, if I open any of the file here, if I open this one, it is something like com h2k java.methods. So methods and your imports are of different packages here. Now in order to use the calculation class from a different package, you basically need to import that package. Okay, so that is what your import is. We will see a lot of imports down the line when we talk about a lot of other things. Okay, so from here onwards we have started learning what is an import here. Okay, now if you can see, if I remove this import right now, it is going to give me a compile time error again, saying that calculation cannot be resolved to a type. He doesn't know where calculation is, because calculation is not at all visible to this particular class. All right, so for that reason you basically do an import here. So I just remove this import. Now once I import this, what I can do, I can just invoke any of the methods present in here. Add value, let's say this is your add value, right? So what is this add value? It is going to return you. So I'm just going to hold this in systrace. Okay, so I'm just going to say here 3 and 4, plain and simple. So right click, run as Java application. So I get the same result what I am expecting, but I'm not implementing in the same class here. Instead I am pushing it to a different class, and that class is giving me all the functionalities. All right, so instead of having all the functionalities implemented here, you are basically implementing it in some other class, and you are just using that class here. All right, now oh, I will talk about this math class later. Okay, now and as you know, if you have any of the static methods here, so let's say you have got a static method here, so directly you can access the method with the help of the class name here, right? So I can just say copy this one, or say sys out this dot sub value. Okay, so I'll just say 4 and 5. So this is going to give me a subtraction of both the numbers. Right click, run as Java application. Okay, so this is what your import is. From now on we will see what is an import, how to use an import. When we talk about different classes, there are different classes in different Now, going back to the previous classes, if you see from where your system is coming in picture, right? Now, I have never, as in this particular mathematical calculation, I'm using a calculation as a class. For that reason, I have to import it because it is not even present in the same package here. Now, the question arises from where the system class comes in picture. System by itself is a class again, right? So, this is your public final class. All right. Now, in this, as this is a system class, so there is no trace, and we know that it is not even under your import package, right? So from where it is coming up, right? Now, there are a lot of classes which are accessible to each and every class, okay? That everything which comes under your java.lang package, okay, this is important to understand. Anything which comes under your java.lang package is automatically being imported for each and every class to use it. All right. What if I say import java.lang.systems, right? It doesn't make any difference here, even though if I say this or if I don't say that. Okay. So there is no point in importing these kind of packages. So right click, run as Java application, right? I'm getting the same result. I'm getting the output with the help of your system.out.println. Okay. So there are a lot of other classes which are present. If I'll show you here, let me open the JRE, RT, lot of other packages which are already present. But out of these packages, only java.lang package is the one which is imported automatically. Where is java.lang? AB. Okay, this is java x dot. Where is pqr? Okay, here we go. All right. So this is, if you see, there are a lot of other classes which is present inside your java.lang. Everything will be automatically imported to your own class. Okay. Any questions on this? No questions? Great. All right. Now, based on this, we'll see our next topic. Okay. So we are going to talk about your access modifiers in Java. What is an access modifier? How do we use that in why do you use that? When we talk about the core concepts of Java, one we have already spoken about the polymorphism, right? We have spoken about inheritance. Now we are going to talk about encapsulation. Okay. Now, how do you do your encapsulation basically, right? So let us start up the course here. So for that reason, let me right click new package. So I'm going to talk about access modifiers. Finish. Right. So in this package, I'm going to create two packages, right? So right click new package. Let me say this as a pack1, and I'll be creating one more packages, pack2. New package. Okay. So let's go to the navigator. You will see it properly. If I go to the navigator, you can see under your access modifier, there are two packages, package1 and package2. Okay. Now, what am I going to do? I'm going to create the respective classes in package1 and package2. And the way right now, if you see in the example what we saw, your we are able to access your calculation, and inside your calculation there are a couple of methods. I'm able to access those methods here, right? So let us start with the same example. Kind of here I'll be having in the package1, I'll be having a method as calculation, sorry, a class as calculation in the package1. So how did the Java lang class imported when you did not define the import statement in the class? Okay, there's a question. How did the Java lang class imported? Yeah, that's a default functionality. What happens before even your class gets loaded, right? So your virtual machine, it loads those classes, and by default your java.lang package is available for your class. Okay, that is the functionality of your Java. Okay, it is only for your java.lang package. Any other package, if you want to use any other package, you have to import them explicitly. Okay, so this is again kind of an interview question. What is a default package which gets loaded? uh, okay, so there's a question, how do we come to know what are all the default classes? As I've shown you here, if you just say java.lang and a control space, you see all the classes out here. Okay, the other way out, you can directly go to your package explorer, go to your JRE system libraries, and just say java.lang. Where is your java.lang? Okay, this is the one, and you can see there are a lot of classes under that. Okay, you can use all the classes which are present in your this particular package. Okay, so this is the only way you can know. Otherwise, if you want to buy hat, you're welcome to do that, but usually you don't buy hat things. You just use it. Now if you see here, uh, in 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 uh, in most of the programs, I have used a class known as string, right? String name, something like that, right? So from where your string comes into picture? So string is again coming from your, let's see here, uh, A B C D I J K L M N O P Q R S. Okay, so if you see, the string class is again present in your java.lang package. All right. So there are a lot of other classes also which will be more handy when you use it sometimes. Like you will be talking about string buffer, we'll talking about string builder, and we'll talk about threads and whatnot. Okay, so there are a couple of classes which we'll be talking about. There are still a lot of classes. Every now and then, depends on what kind of functionality you want to use it, you can use those things. Okay, all right, so let me close this and close this. It's a very big list. Okay, go back to the navigator here, right? So here what I'm going to do, I'm just going to have the same functionality. Let me say in the package one, I'm going to create a class, new class calculation. Okay, and that's all. And I'll be having a couple of methods here with your instance variables also. Let's say uh, int a. Okay, and I'm just going to say string uh, type, whether you want to do an addition or a subtraction. And here also let me say int. Okay, let's say here first value, and this is your second value, and this I'm going to say what type, whether it is addition or subtraction. Okay, and let me have some behaviors. Let's say public void add me, wherein what am I going to do is I'm going to give an option for this calculation. I can even use a constructor here to, okay, I'm just going to have this, and I'm even going to have a constructor with an argument also. Okay, I'm just going to say int first name, int sorry, first value, int second value. Okay, so I'm just going to say the same thing for dot first value, this dot second value equals to second value. Pretty plain and simple. The same thing we have been doing it from the very previous classes here. Okay, now still what I want to do is I want to say int first value. I instead of having it from the constructor, I even giving an option to have it from the method signature itself. So int second value. Okay, so what you're going to do, you're just going to say, let me just have this as a void. So if I have a void, I just want to say system.out.println here itself. Okay, and I'm just going to say uh, addition value is first value plus second value. So the same thing, see, if you can see here, the first thing I have not given anything as public, private or protected. So if I do not give any modifier here, okay, we say it as a default modifier. Okay. Now what am I going to do is I'm just going to make this as public. Okay. So this is your public. Now what am I going to do next? Uh, Here the addition method I'm going to make it as a public, and your subtraction method I'm going to make it as nothing. Okay. Now let's see what am I going to do is if I create a main class here or a client program here in the same package. Okay, I'll just say client pack 1. In the client pack 1, what I can do, I can just say calculation calc equals to new calculation, right? And what I meant by creating an object here, because I want to do some addition or subtraction here, right? So what I'm going to do is first let me invoke add me, and let me try accessing your first value, second value, that you know we can directly access it when you create an instance here, right? So in your client package 1, I'm just going to say sys out and say calc dot, let's say, first value, right? And by default, if you are not initializing, you will get a value of 0, depending on whether it is an object. And you know that if this is an object, right? I mean, this is a class. If you do not initialize anything with it, it is going to be a null here. Okay. And for all these primitive types, we say this is a primitive type, and we'll be talking about the wrapper type of this also. So for a primitive type, it is going to be 0 here. Okay. So if I access this one, if I right click, run as Java application, okay, I'm going to get a value of 0 here, right? Now let me try accessing the other things also. Now as you know, this is an integer and it is a default modifier. This is also default modifier. This is a public one. So even if I try to access this, say here we are completely talking about only how to access things. Okay, we are not at all talking about why this is why you are not accessing your first value, why you're not accessing your second value. I'm plainly talking about only your public, private, protected, and default one. Okay. So here I'm going to say here sys out and calc dot type here, right? And even if I want to access your add me method, what I can do, I can just say calc dot add me, and I'm just going to give the first value and the second value. Okay. So I gave this, and even I can access my subtract me also. So when I say subtract first value minus second value. Okay. And let me just change this. So here I just say calc dot subtract me. So 30 minus 15. Okay. So right click, run as Java application. You guys must be thinking why he's teaching the same old stuff here, right? Okay. Now if you can see, this is, I have given this as a default. I have not given any specifier here. This is public, and this is default public. So if I'm not giving any specifier, you say it as a default specifier here. Okay. Now come back to this. Let me take this client pack. Let me create one more class, client class, in the package 2 right now. New class. So I'll just say again here client pack 2. Now default is not public we'll see that right now. There is okay, uh, public string. You cannot use the default as a keyword, right? Very simple. Okay, what is my task here? I will copy the same main method here, okay, and I will try to access the same thing from different classes also, right? I can do that, right? Because I have no restriction in not to do that. Now, if you see here, the same thing, I am doing it in the same package. I'm not getting any compilation error. But the same thing which I'm doing it from the different package, I'm getting some kind of compilation issues here. What is that compilation issue? Why I'm not getting compilation issues for these two, right? Why I'm getting it for this one and this one. Let's see that. So the very first one, I say calc.firstValue. Now what is first value? Let us go there. My first value is having it doesn't have public, private, protected. So it is having something like your default modifier, right? default. You cannot use it, okay, but you say it as a default specifier, okay. So here in this case, when you say use a default one, you cannot access the default outside the package, okay. You cannot access the default one outside the package. If you see, this is default, and I'm having a client package 2 which is outside the package. If I would have created a new class here inside this package 1, I wouldn't have any problems here, but I am creating a class in a different package, and from different package I am basically trying to use the calculation. The very first and foremost thing, if you see, I am first importing the package, because if you do not import the package, it will give a compile time error saying that calculation cannot be resolved to a type. Very plain and simple. So I'm going to undo this, and the first thing is I have imported this one, okay. Next, as we spoke about, this is your default. Now what if I make it as a public here? Let's go back. If you, as you know, public is by a term, when you talk about public, it is public to everyone. You don't have any problems here in the same package itself. Let us go back to the second package. Now when I go back to the second package, client package 2, I have no problems here. Why? Because I have changed the modifier from your default to public, right? Now if you go back, see your subtract me, the same thing goes here. So if I talk about subtract me here, it is your default. So whenever anything is default, you can access it inside the package itself, okay. You cannot access it outside the package. Go back to the package 2, client 2 here. So I cannot access it anyhow, all right. Now let's talk about other specifiers here also. So in the calculation, let's say you have got the first value, second value, and you have got public here, right? We have spoken about public and default. Now let's talk about something as private, okay. If I make this as private, okay, so even in the same package also your private value will not be accessed. You cannot access the private, any variable or method which is private outside the class, but somewhere inside the class I can very well use it. I can say something like, we am doing any manipulation inside the class. If you can see the first value, I'm able to access it here, okay. So anything as a private, you are able to access it inside the class but not outside the class, okay. So that is what your private is, all right. Now
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm a little confused about. like you could, when you said public,
Hmm.
and initial first value, you couldn't access it into the path2.java class, right? Uh,
Which one is that?
the client path2.java,
Uh-huh.
you couldn't access it in the system.out.println as first value because you did not specify public. But then the same values were accessed in calc.addNew, where you had the first value and the second value adding to each other. So like how were you able to access it in add new in calc.addNew but not in the system.out.println?
You're talking about here, calc.addme here.
Yeah, you were able to access the first value
Yes.
here,
Right.
right? Even
Yes.
though you had not specified it as public integer first value. You
Yeah,
were
that's what I mean. See, the highest preference is your private here. If you make anything as private, you can access it only inside the class itself. Now, if you see add me, where is your add me present? Add me, I'm just muting you. Add me is present inside the class itself, inside your calculation class itself. Okay, I'm talking about an instance variable which is inside this class right now. When I make it as a public, it is accessible to everyone. Everyone in the sense, even though if it is inside the package, so this is one client which is inside the package. So here I'm able to access my first value. Okay, why? Because it is public. Even though I'm able to access it outside the package, why? Because here this one, because it is again public. All right, if I make the same thing as private, right, I still have the option to access it inside the class itself, even though if I say first value or first value anything which is inside the class, you have defined this methods inside the class itself. It is not outside the class. But if you see, I have already defined the first value as private. If I go back to the client package, which is outside the class, but in the same package, you get a compile time error here because you are you are having a private specifier here. Is it clear?
Yeah, that part is clear. But what I'm confused about is calc.addme, where 12 is the first value. Are you saying that calc.addme is accessing, if you go
Yeah,
back to the
okay.
command?
Here you're talking about no. Okay. When you say add me here, you're basically passing this value 12 to where? To your first value.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How is it able to access that as a first value?
No, this
Are
is your
you
parameters. The parameters you're passing. There
Oh,
is
okay,
nothing
okay.
to do
They're
with
not
the
okay.
parameters
So
here.
they're not referencing to that the integer first, the int first value you had described in the. Oh, okay. So that's why I got confused. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
This is I could. It need not be first value. You could always specify it at anything else,
I
right?
can specify
Maybe.
here one or two here.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. That's why I got confused.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
thank
sorry
you
for
very
that.
much.
Okay. So I just need to say two here. All right. So this has nothing to do with your first value and the second value here. Yep. So let me even change it here. One and two, one and two here. Okay. So till now we spoke about, as we saw, this if this is your private, you cannot, no one can access it. Okay. I will still after this I'll be giving a very in particular an example where to specify what. Okay. But as just as a groundwork, I'm just giving you all these informations right now. Okay. So when you say private,
Vera,
yep.
the first value is defined as private, but still we set the value in the constructor, right?
Yes. No, see, I think it's a confusion with the names here. Okay, let me just change this name as one again, two again. Okay, so my objective is just to have some value. I'm just passing it as an argument. See, these are arguments. Okay, these are not references this particular instance variables. Okay, so if I try to say calculation here, if I use calculation with some arguments here, it doesn't matter for me. 12 comma 34, right? If I say this is calc2. So what are you passing?
Right.
You're passing some arguments here. You're not accessing your instance variables. Okay, these variables are different, and these are different, and these are different.
So I understood that part, but I'm just want to make a statement that that's how you protect the variables, accessing the variables, setting the values only through a certain path, like either through a method or constructor.
Yeah, we'll talk next about that. Okay, let me finish a couple of other things. I'll give you one brief example wherein we'll see what to protect. Okay, we'll see what to hide. See, hiding is different. Protecting is different. Hide, you don't show to anyone. Okay, protection, we'll see how we can use it in your subclasses and those things. Okay, just give me a few more minutes here. Okay, so let's move on. So we spoke about public, we spoke about private, and we spoke about default here, right? Uh, let's have a small hierarchy here. Let me say, okay, now let me have one more variable as protected uh, string. Let's say, what do we say? Okay, just say protected value here. Protected string. Okay. So I just told protected. Okay. Now, now let's see how in which all levels I can access this one. Okay. So if I say something like protected string here, if I say, okay, this is ruled out. Okay, let me just keep it as it is. If I say calc dot protected string in your sys out, I'm able to access that, no problems in that. Okay, but the same thing if I do it in my package2, I get a compile time error here. Okay, so again, when you talk about protected, you can access inside the package or in the subclasses also. Okay, we'll talk about those things right now. All right, so just to remember one thing, whenever it is a public, it can be accessed anywhere. Whenever it is a private, it can only be accessed inside the class. Whenever it is a default, it can be accessed. Okay, so if I make this comment here, this is a default modifier, and this is only inside the same package. Okay, okay, something like uh, anywhere inside the same package. Okay, so this is only inside the class. Okay, if it is a public, anywhere. Okay, if it is a protected, uh, anywhere inside the same package, and okay, and in subclasses, which we are going to see it right now. Okay, so let us take a small example here, in which I'm going to explain uh, what all variables to make it as public, which one to make it as private, which one to make it as a protected here. All right.
One quick clarification,
Mm-hmm.
If you define another package, like say subpack 1 inside package 1,
Uh-huh.
still this variable is not visible to subpack 1, right?
Right, exactly. So whenever any of the class belongs to any different package, it doesn't matter here. It's all hidden. It's not visible. Okay. Yeah, it's a good question. I think everybody has to think on that. The same question what Madhu has asked me right now. Even though if I I say something like right click new package, let's say pack 11, okay, package inside your pack 11, all right. Now what if I have this client program here? Can I access my first value, paste it here? Okay, let me make this as 11. Okay, so this is your 11, and this has to be the package name. Package value should be your 11 here. Okay, and again we have to import it. It doesn't mean that as your client package is inside your package 1 and your calculation is inside the package 1, it doesn't mean that you don't have to import it. Still you have to import it. Okay, so that is compulsory. You have to import anything which is not there in the same package, but if it is there in the same package, you don't have to import it. Yes, a class can also, we can have that also. Okay, uh okay, so the same thing goes. Okay, did that answer you, Madhu? Right,
Yeah.
great. So I'm not interested in this right now because this is again part of a different package. Let me even remove this. Okay, so I'm only interested in about the package 1 and the package 2. So what am I going to do? Let me just comment out this one saying that uh, is this private? Private. Okay, fields cannot be accessed. Okay, so let us talk about an example here wherein I'm going to have a person, right? So in that particular person, I'm going to have uh, right click new class and say it as a person. Okay, and what are the features of a particular person? Let's say this person will have its name, social security, and age. Okay, so string name, uh, int ssn. Okay, and let's say int age. So I've got only three features in three properties in a person, right? So what I can do, I can have each methods instead of okay, let us just keep it as it is. Okay, now what I want to do is from the same package, okay, I want to create a class here. And usually what happens is you do not try to create the client program here itself. You basically try to ship your particular class file, and somebody else will use a class file, and you will never try to use okay, we'll do one thing. Instead of having this here, we will talk something about a package access modifier, and in that access modifier I'll be having a hierarchy known as your uh, person. Okay, so in your access modifier I'm just going to say new package, and here I'm just going to say person. Okay, so when I talk about a person, I will create a person object, new class person. And if you can see, I have two persons in the different packages. I cannot create person .java in the same package again and again. Okay, so let me copy these properties here from here, copy this and paste it here. And then what am I going to do here? Remove this. Okay, so let us keep your pack 1, pack 2 here as it is. And then let me create a different package. Let's say in the access modifier, I'm just going to create a new package, new package here, access modifier dot let's say company. Okay, so a company will hire a person. Okay, but when he hires hire a person, he needs the name of the person, ssn of the person, and the age of the person. Okay, so that's what I need basically. Sorry. does is he hires persons. Okay, we can even have a hierarchy here. Let's say uh, you, as a person, you have an employee also, and that employee is basically going to extend your person here, right? So what am I going to do is I'm going to create one more package here, new package dot employee finish, and in that I'm going to create a class known as employee. Okay, so every employee, whether he is an employee or whatever it is, he is going to have a social security number, his age, and his name. Okay, so I created a employee here. That's all. I don't need any kind of main method here, and this employee will extend here. I'm going to extend this with your person. Okay, with person. Now even if you see here, it doesn't know who this person is. This class belongs to a package, and I have to basically import that particular package. So if I just say Control Shift O, it is going to give me some suggestions here. So I'm going to access this one here. So I imported the package here. Okay. Now as an employee here, right? As extending a person, so it will try to access all its features of a person, no doubt about it. Okay. Now from the client program, let's say I'm going to create an employee, and let me have a constructor here and one more constructor. Let's say I'm just going to say public person, and I'm going to create a person with uh, okay, so I'll do one thing. I'll just not have this here, and I will have it from the employee. So coming on to the employee, I'm just going to have a constructor. Okay, I'm just going to have a constructor which is going to initialize all the values of a particular person. So I'm just going to say string name, comma, int age, and your int ssn. Okay, so I'm just going to say this dot name equals to name, this dot age equals to age. What happened to this? Okay, so there is the field is not visible. Okay, so it has already started giving me all the issues here. Okay, we'll do one thing. We'll, yes,
Make it as protected, right?
yeah, we'll talk about those things later. Okay, just hang on. So what am I going to do is I'm just going to have a public person. So I'm going to have a constructor here itself, and I will say the same thing here. Copy this, and I'll just say the same thing what I have done it here. I'll just copy this and paste it here, and this dot ssn equals to ssn, and from here I'll just call the super. Okay, and in this super I'll just pass on the name, age, ssn. Okay, so I'm good here. I do not have any access, I have any problems right now. And what am I going to do next is from your client program, I'm going to create an object of an employee, and I'm just going to say public void print me, and I'm going to print the behavior of the particular employee. So I'm just going to say sys out name is, okay, you have some problems here. Okay, we'll do one thing. We'll just push it to the top here. We'll not have it here. So let's go to the person and push this here. plus SSN age age, right? So as a company, what is he going to do is he's going to create an instance of your employee. So I'll just say employee, let's say Jairam as an employee. Okay, new employee, right? So I know, first of all, I need to import this. So let me first import this first. Okay, and let me even remove this constructor. And I need to create an employee. I anyhow, as I said in the previous classes, whenever you want to create an object of for a particular purpose, you want to give some information. And so here I just want to create an employee with name, int, and age. Sorry, name, age, and social security number. So I'm just going to say here as Jairam. Okay, so this is your age and SSN number 12345 6. Okay.
Jairam, in this case, what is your superclass? Is it employee or company?
My superclass is your person. Company is not at all any kind of class. It's just a client program here. Okay. As a company, I am creating employees here. If you see, there is no hierarchy. This is just a client program. But instead of telling it as a client, I have told in specific a company. Okay. Because a company is the one who is going to hire employees, right? In practical also. All right. Is that clear?
Okay, but all right, I guess it makes sense. So what is the superclass here then? Person is the superclass?
Yeah, for an employee, person is the superclass. Okay, so we are trying to access a hierarchy here from a client program, that is a company, from a company program here. Okay, company has nothing to do with your inheritance and anything as such. Okay, you're just a client program wherein you're trying to invoke the functionalities of your employee. All right, so I am going to create, I have created an employee here. I know that I have created this employee. Okay, so let me go to the MS Paint. I have created an employee somewhere here, right? And after creating this employee, I do a lot of manipulation with that. There is one more program is using the same reference here, right? So I just say Jairam dot print me. Okay, and in the meantime somebody is using the features of Jairam. Let's say you want to do some sorry, let's say you want to do something with the age of that particular employee or the social security number of that employee, because you want to take that social security number, and let's say uh, here in the same class I'm just going to have a new method. Let's say public void check SSN. So in your company there is a particular department who is basically going to check the social security details of a particular employee, right? So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass person per, right? So I can even pass a person as a reference also. Okay, so what am I going to do is I am going to say, so what is this social security number, sorry, your check SSN number is going to do? He is going to say uh, is, let's say, if uh, the person dot SSN. Okay, well, okay, we'll do one thing. As we will go back to the class, and for now we will make everything as public here. Okay, we'll not keep it as default. All right. As you know, when you make it as public, everything is being accessed by everyone. So I'll just say here person dot okay, I will take that SSN. I'll check if that person dot SSN is greater than what I can do is I can make some method call wherein it is going to do something with your SSN here. Okay. Now, what's happening here is, let's say I have already created an employee, and I call this. Let's say I call your print me. Right click, run as Java application. What happened here? There's some problem. Calculation protected. Let me comment out all these things. I'm going to check in this file as it is with compile time errors. So you guys have to fix those things as well. Okay. All right. So here, if you go and see the console here, I print, when you say print me, obviously in your person method, print me method, you're printing all these informations of a particular employee. After printing, what you're doing is you are saying check SSN. Okay, so copy this and push it here, and let me make this as a static. Okay, so that I can access it directly from so and so. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pass this reference to the method here. Okay, I can do it in this way because what I did, I am using a type person here. If you remember in the previous session, we can say person Jairam equals to new employee also, right? Because you are using your superclass reference and you are creating an instance of your subclass. The same thing goes here. When I use a reference of your superclass here, it is something like if you say public void int, sorry, add, let's say for instance. So if you say int and I'm going to pass on int a value of int I, so when you call this, let me make this as static now. So when you call this add, so what are you supposed to pass? You're supposed to pass an integer itself, right? The same thing goes here. When I have created a method with an argument as person, you can only pass that kind of references in that particular object. Sorry, in that particular method here. Okay, so that is what I'm doing it here. So now the concern is, let me print again, right? So in between print me two times, I am doing some social security check here. So right click, run as Java application. So he's checking, okay, your social security is greater than 10,000. It's a valid social security number. But your person, like when an employee creates a person here, right? He has a complete control of a person on what he can do it with this person object, right? So what this company does is, uh, he does some mischievous things. What he does, if your social security number is greater than 10,000, I'm just saying person dot SSN equals to 7890. Now right click, run as Java application. If you see here, what is happening here? You created a person with a social security number, right? This company is doing some silly check here. If the social security number is greater than 10,000, and he is basically modifying this particular social security number. Does it make sense here? It does not make any sense because once the social security number has been generated, you will never regenerate your social security number. Are everyone with me? Did you guys see a flaw in this piece of code, that I am giving an access to the social security number to the outside world? When I talk about outside world, anything apart from your class, because your company, as a company, he's creating an object, he's creating an instance, he's creating a person. After creating a person, he is having the access to change the social security number of that person. If you guys understood until here, can you just you guys ping me yes or a smiley, whatever it is. That's all. I got only 4 5. Okay, anyways, now uh
Jairam, I have a quick question.
mhm.
Person for person is like a variable, like string or integer.
person is of per is of a type data type of type person here. It
The
is a
type person is a
it is of
data
type,
type.
yeah, every class is of kind of data type also, right? When you say int I is of type data type of integer, right? So when you say
Yeah,
string,
I is a data type of
when you
integer.
say string name, what is name? It is of type string.
Name string. Yeah. So person
When you say
per is
person per, what is per? It is of type person.
okay. Yeah, but that's what I know. Like integer is numbers.
Hmm.
String is like alphabet. What is person?
What is string? Come again.
String is more like string of characters, like alphabet,
It's
public.
again it's again a class. It's if you see open the string, it is again a class.
Ah, okay,
Okay.
okay, 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 okay.
So every class you can use it kind of a data type also.
So person itself is a inbuilt class for Java. Is that what
No,
it
no,
is?
no, no. You can create your own class and make that as a
Yeah.
type of kind of a data type here.
Oh, I see. Okay, I see. Okay. So you pick that class person Java. I got you.
Okay.
All right.
The same thing. I mean, when you say person Jairam, what is this? It is of type person, right? Okay.
I have a question.
Hmm.
You what you're doing is I understand, but when you say that uh, this is a silly thing and the access is being given to the outside world,
Hmm.
what is that? Could you please explain what is that?
Okay, so when I say access is given to the outside world, I'm talking about this particular property here, which I'm going to say next. Okay, so just stay tuned here. I'm going to explain everything here. So when I say it is a silly thing, access is given to the outside world, that means who is this company? This is a outside world for me because this company is actually creating a person object here. Okay, so any program which is using this particular class employee, he is an outside person for me. Okay, or a outside class or a class apart from the same package or the same hierarchy, he's using this person here. Okay, now when I say print me, you see I'm printing this, again I'm printing this. The moment I print again, I'm getting the social security number as 7890, right? So who is doing some changes? Your social security number. Person.ssn is doing those changes. Now what am I going to do next? I'm going to hide this information because I don't want anyone to I don't want anyone to do any modification with the social security number. They can access the values, but they cannot modify the values. Okay, let's go back to the social security number. What am I going to do? I'm going to make this as private. Okay, the same thing goes for your name also. Whenever you create an employee, you're not supposed to change the name. Change this to private as well. Okay, now what is public? Your age is only public. So what am I going to do right now? I'm going to now how do I access my social security number here? Because whatever the thing is, I have to check the social security number here because my main purpose of this particular method is to check the social security number. I want to print something out here, correct? But I'm not supposed to do this functionality here at all. Comment this out first of all, because I have given the access. For that reason, this company class is basically misusing that particular social security number. Now I have made this as a private here. Now no one can access it. But if no one can access it, how can this check person can get the access to your SSN number? What am I going to do is I'm going to introduce a setter and getter for each and every property. Okay, I think Keith, this was your long back question. Why don't you talk about setters, getters, and stuff and all? So it is going to be answered here. Okay. There is always a reason. Whenever I keep quiet, I don't give answers. So there is always a reason behind that. All right. So what am I going to do? Right click. So there is an option. I can even write it by myself. Instead of that, I'm just going to right click on this and right click on this class source generate getter and setter. So I'm just going to say age, this and this. So everything has got its own get name, get age, set name, set age, set SSN, get SSN. Say okay, right? So what did I do? I have created the getters and setters for each property in the person class. All right. So and moreover, this is the way you basically access a variable. Okay, you do not give an access to the variable directly. Instead, you give an access to the variable using a setters and getters here. Right. Now I have got getter. Let's again talk about social security number. Okay, see, the social security number and the string both belongs to the same thing, because I cannot change the social security number. I should not even change the name also here. Okay, but I just given here. But if I talk about this, you should understand the same property should go to your name also here. So let me go back and go to the company program again. So I created a person with this and this. Say print me. So this print me is going to say name, age and SSN. Well and good. I'm going to call this one again, check SSN. I'm going to pass the reference of your employee object. And then it comes here. On this person, I'm going to say person dot, instead of dot SSN, I can directly say get SSN. Right? Now when I say get SSN, what is it returning? It is basically returning your this particular class SSN number itself. Okay, so that is what it does. I can even say this also, it doesn't matter to be more specific. Okay, so I say when I say get SSN, it says this particular class, the SSN which you have created, it is returning you that particular SSN. And you are doing some validation. Right click, run as Java application. Right, the same thing goes, but I still have the access to change the value. I say person dot set SSN, and I'll say the same junk value 7890. Run this. Again the same problem here. What to do now? Now I know that first of all I have made this as a private. That's well and good, but still I have the access to set the value of that particular SSN to something else. So what am I going to do? I am going to restrict this setter method here. So I'm going to delete this setter method. The same thing goes for your set name also. So once created, you will never change those values. Now let's come here. You have no option for a particular variable to be changed by the outside class. So right click, run as Java application. You are well and good. There is no chance for you to change the property of your person class, that is your name and SSN here. Right, now for that reason I have only given a get name and get SSN, but for age, why I have given it as a public? Okay, usually whenever you create a class, you always make the variables as private. Okay, because here I will never ever say something like person dot, if I make this as a public. Okay, let me revert it back to public here. It's not a good practice to say person dot age. Okay, I can even do it in this way, person dot age basically. All right, so it's not a good practice to do it in this way. So for that reason, you always make this as a private, and always try to access all the instance variable using your getters and setters here. Now why did I give an access to the outside program to set the value? Because uh, the company has created an object here of type Jairam here, right? And after 1 year, it has basically the age has been increased, right? So on that particular Jairam is going to say set age equals to uh, Jairam dot get age plus 1. Right, now after 1 year, again if I just print this one here, what am I going to do? Right click, run as Java application. So age was 30. After 1 year, one method got invoked here, and now the age is 31. So what did we learn here? When we spoke about a person, we spoke about when you make it as a public, you can access it, but usually you won't make that as a public. Always, whenever you talk about an instance variable, you always make it as a public, a private here. And we are going to make all these methods as public, okay, public, so that you can access it, but only for the particular variables what you can use it. So this is always your getters. This is always your getters and setters. Okay, so I'll keep the class here. In the next session we'll speak about what is a protected, okay, how we can use protected, and we'll see some more examples if time permits, okay, and try to clear up all the complete concept here, and we'll then proceed further. Okay, any questions? I'll push on some assignments this weekend, so you guys can do it on Monday itself. Sorry, on Sunday. Okay, and I think you guys know the link for the assignment. I have already given it to you guys. Okay. One sec. Okay. So I'm going to copy and paste this particular link. You guys can get your assignments in your link in this particular link itself. All right. So every now and then you guys can access this link and see that. And last but not the least, please fill in your feedback form as well. Yep.
Jairam, this is Florence.
Yeah, Florence.
Yeah, actually, I just wanted to know if I can access the private variables using constructors instead of the getters and setters.
You cannot access those things as well. You cannot access these variables anyhow. Only with the help of getters and setters you can do it.
So you can't even do it with the constructors?
No, constructor is only for initializing things. Okay, you
Oh,
can
okay.
pass on as an argument, but you cannot access those things. I mean, there is no
Okay.
concept as accessing using constructor. Constructor is entirely a different story here at all. We should not even link your constructors here.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Yeah, there's a question. I mean, are we expected to fill in the feedback every day? I fill twice. It's okay. No, you don't have to fill in every day. I mean, I just you can do it on your alternative days, or if you feel I'm not teaching well, then you can just put your feedback form. This is only to keep you handy, and if you feel someday that I'm exceeding your expectations, then you guys can even fill in the feedback form as well. So this will boost me sometime. This will alert me sometime. Okay, this will not negate me. So I'm using two words: boost me sometimes, and it will alert me sometimes. Okay, sometimes I might not be much effective due to XYZ.
H2K Infosys provides world-class online IT training, staffing, and software testing solutions to customers worldwide. H2K Infosys, how we are different from our competitors. 100% job-oriented training, hands-on project work, cloud test lab, resume preparation and review, mock interviews, robust syllabus, one-time fee and lifetime access to classes, access to recorded sessions of live classes. H2K Infosys has won the trust of thousands of students worldwide. For a free demo class, visit us at h2kinfosys.com.